Thank you so much. Now, please help me in welcoming Leah Mercado, an 8th grader presenting Art, Freedoms, and Censorship.
I have liked art for as long as I can remember. Every form. When I was in 1st grade watching tutorials on how to draw cats, or when I read the first book that I truly obsessed over, art has always been an important part of my life, as well as it has been for many, many others. Art has always been a form of expression used to express things that you can't always express through words alone. Things that can't simply be represented through speech alone, whether this be painting, music, literature, anything that falls under a creative category. It can be the strongest form of rebellion or a peaceful break within chaos. Art helps people see from everybody's individual viewpoints, and many people have different definitions of what art has done for them, but they can all agree it connects people in some way. I've definitely seen this in my own life. I have 2 best friends that I've known since 4th grade. We connected originally from our love of drawing and shared interests, as well as online. Now with the internet being a part of everyday life, finding a group of artists you can connect with is easier than ever. Throughout history, there have been many forms of art censorship. Even with art being as important as it is, censorship continues to restrict the voices of artists all around the world. But first, let's talk about the definition of censorship. Censorship is the limitations of words, ideas, or art due to the personal opinion of one or a group of people. The amount of that challenges the amount of artistic freedoms one has. Censorship can come from private groups, or it can be done by the government, although it would be very unconstitutional. The exceptions to that being obscenity, child pornography, incitement, defamation, and fraud. Mostly protective laws. Censorship can come from both good and bad intent. It can be tied with protective laws, and we have to be aware that censorship can protect people, especially younger audiences. However, censorship can sometimes be born from the ideas of people in power that the public needs to be shielded from uncomfortable topics or topics in which they just don't agree. This is very commonly shown in history in large-scale oppressions. As an avid reader of historical genres myself, I've seen and read about the censorship of art many times, which has limited the creations and expressions of art. Historically, this has allowed countries to shape the narrative and message feeded to the public. But these are such well-known examples already. Sometimes censorship can be much more subtle. It can oppress minorities, think women, racial groups, religious groups, anyone seen as on the outside. The limitation in diversities makes it much harder for people to express their individuality and identity. This inequality has also spread the idea that certain art forms can be worth less than others due to the bias of a cultural or gender difference. The idea that these art pieces are being censored for the well-being of our society is truly absurd when you look at the factual evidence for what it's used for. As today's youth, we must remember that the history that we must learn to change. Even though I've been speaking about the history of censorship, the past is not now. Today, censorship is created from a social pressure. A century ago, reaching out to the artist of a piece you didn't like was much more difficult, but now you find their social media and leave a hate post. Now, this can seem like nothing, but for an artist, you're constantly doubting your own talent. And what seems like nothing can change the way an artist views their work entirely, or the way the algorithm views the popularity of that art. That's why it's so important to remember why you love creating art. Art has brought so many people together. Some people make art to help comfort others, and other people will use it to find their own voice. A voice that they didn't have before. Art is your right to view or not to view. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, then you don't have to look at it. But it's also not everyone else's problem to change it for you. Art is our right to create. Remember, art can connect, so don't let others use it to take apart. Art is ours, so no matter what, continue creating.